Shalom, Kahalayim La Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Waharachakurash, the blindness of the apostles, bishops, and elders of GMS who rule well, who I learned this truth from, and salutations and blessings to you elect out there, starting with 144,000 on down. So, this is a lesson I'm doing based upon pretty much an aspect of this world today that we live in, where you have a bunch of narcissists pretty much running around. And you have this, I guess, a few years old, a few years new thing where people do something called rage baiting, right? They rage bait you. So I typed in pretty much asking ChatGPT about rage baiting, and it says rage baiting can indicate narcissism if it is used to feed ego, assert dominance, or punish perceived slights, especially when paired with a lack of empathy and manipulation patterns. Now, narcissism is pretty much love of self, right? You love your whole. Right, let's get the word narcissism from the Greek narcissos, of a beautiful youth in mythology who fell in love with his own reflection in a spring and was turned into the flower Narcissus. Okay, so, and this is the legend here. Krishna, enamored of himself, had resolved to experience lust for his own self. He manifested his own blah 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 blah. Anyway, the point being that you love yourself, right? An overly love of yourself, which people in the world, I love myself, I love my life. Well, they do it in an imbalanced way. There's a righteous way where you take care of your diet, you believe in the Most High, you have faith in the Most High, you do good to the brotherhood. These are things that help you take care of your own life. But how you people live is just pure vanity. Okay, you want people to love your exterior while you don't really work on your interior. You're really envious inside and bitter, slanderous and gossiping. So it says, if it is used to feed ego, assert dominance, or punish perceived slights, especially when paired with lack of empathy and manipulation patterns. So pretty much rage baiting or gaslighting, right? They these are new terms, in the last few years I had to learn them too. I didn't I didn't even know about these things, but I guess they just popped up, right? But it's been tactics. It's the same tactics that people, manipulative people have used for centuries, right, or millenniums. But pretty much gaslighting and rage baiting, right? People just talk shit and they try to get a rise out of you. That's a big thing in society, and it's done to feel better about yourself, pretty much. It can also appear in other mental or behavioral disorders, particularly those involving antisocial traits, sadism, or disinhibition, certain personality disorders, impulse control disorders. That's why when you go on YouTube, brothers that go live, majority of brothers go live on the highways or do their live lessons. You have a bunch of things called trolls, right? People come up and they talk shit. These are a bunch of mentally, damaged people. And this is what's running around in society, hiding, inner rage, things that they went through, right? They're just suppressing it. And they have these little avenues like the internet where they can release some of these things in an unhealthy way, of course. This is a completely bugged out way. You're arguing with, like, people on Instagram. You're arguing with strangers, talking shit. These are signs, if you're engaging in that a lot and really to a bugged out point, you know what I mean when you see these comments. You got mental issues, man. You got demons in you. Yeah, you're bugged out, right? So I asked ChatGPT, can you link? Oh, Slack it. If it's chronic, calculated, and central to someone's interactions, it's more likely rooted in a personality pathology rather than just everyday conflict style, right? Being um, what is it, opposing person or a very critical person. There's a difference, right? You just that's where Paul wrote. Some preach Yahweh shine for envy and strife, right? You have guys literally doing this to beef with GMS or with this camp or that camp. That's their whole nucleus, you know. That's their whole center is to pretty much argue, to cause strife, right? Some brothers got demons where they cause strife within the brotherhood. That's their demon, and that's how they operate. And that's why these things have to be put away very swiftly. So I asked Chat, can you link narcissism with any Bible verses? And it goes off on some of them. Um, it says, yes, the Bible does not use the word or modern term narcissism, but it repeatedly warns against the core traits pride, right? Self-exaltation, lack of love, and exploitation of others. And that's what we live in today. Hence, Yahushua said in Matthew 24, the love of many shall wax cold. This is a part of it, right? Emotions going numb, empathy lacking. That's that's the love of many shall wax cold. That's what that means, right? So First Timothy or Second Timothy, which let's get that. That's a good scripture. 2 Timothy 3. I'll read it in NLT. It says, "You should know this, Timothy, that in the last days, right, which we're clearly in the last days. I mean, you have many prophecies. You have everything happening right now. Okay, we're halfway done to 25. We're almost in 2026. You have many, many things happening. Time is just on fast forward, you know, double fast forward. It says that in the last days there will be very difficult times, for people will love only themselves, which is what narcissism, right? Loving yourself, right? Again, in an balanced way. When you, like I said, when you really love yourself, Yahweh Shai said, love the two greatest commandments. When they asked him, what are the two greatest, Yahweh Shai said, love the Most High with all thy heart and love thy neighbor as thyself. You show love to yourself by showing love to your brotherhood. Like I said, operating in the brotherhood, watching your diet, you love yourself. Working out, that's loving yourself. Okay. Trying to eat the best of the worst, that's loving yourself. Right? We understand that even organic food and all this stuff is not what it seems to be. But we're not out here eating McDonald's, pulling up to fucking Wendy's and whatever else, Popeyes and all this shit, right? Brothers are figuring out ways to get the nutrients in, because that's what we're really lacking, because of soil irrigation, them not keeping the land Sabbath, having GMOs. The soil is depleted of minerals, so you're not even getting minerals. Anyway, it says, for people will love only themselves and their money. Yo, you can't make it up, man. These people, that's all they love is their money, right? They will be boastful and proud, scoffing at the Most High, disobedient to their parents, and ungrateful. They will consider nothing sacred. They will be unloving and unforgiving. They will slander others and have no self-control. Doesn't that link up with Second Ezra's? Incontinency shall increase. Being incontinent, having an impulsive disorder, given into your intrusive thoughts, like just to get in your people's playing field, so you can understand. On TikTok, they have this trend. Oh, my intrusive thoughts are winning. Well, in that day, your intrusive thoughts are going to be running you. That's why it says the course of their actions shall stand in their power. People are going to do whatever is going to come to their mind. Whatever them demons are telling you to do. It says, they will slander others and have no self-control. They will be cruel and hate what is good. They will betray their friends, be reckless, be puffed up with pride, and love pleasure rather than the Most High. Okay? So that's the time we're in, man. I mentioned Obadiah, which that has nothing to do with, almost nothing to do. That's talking about Esau, right? His pride, which we know this devil's proud. But we're talking about general, the times that we're in now. It mentioned this part about 3rd John, which is very good. I'm going to get into that actually. But ultimately I asked, is narcissism ultimately a love of self in a negative light? Yes, narcissism is essentially self-love twisted into self-worship, which is what? Satanism. Satanists will tell you, Anton LaVey, we don't worship Satan. We don't believe in Satan, allegedly. That's what they say, right? In an interview, he said, we worship ourselves, which is a worship of Satan, the enemy, an adversary. You're being an adversary to the Most High, Yahweh Shem Yahushai. These people worship themselves. That's why on your birthday, you worship, you have a birthday week. You're blowing out your candles or make a wish. Turn off, you know what I mean? Like turn off the lights and all this dumb shit. It says, valuing one's own image, status, and desires above truth, humility, and the well-being of others. People are doing things to get ahead, and they don't really care about the repercussions or the consequences or the results of their actions, pretty much. It says biblically, love of self is not condemned in its healthy form, which I was saying before. Love your neighbor as yourself assumes proper self-care, but narcissism is the corrupted form, rooted in pride, vanity, and disregard for others. It shifts from rightful stewardship of the self to idolizing the self. Now let's go to that. 3rd John 1 and 9. I'll read it in an NLT. I wrote to the church about this, but Diotrephes, who loves to be the leader, refuses to have anything to do with us. When I come, I will report some of the things he is doing and the evil accusations he is making against us. Not only does he refuse to welcome the traveling teachers, he also tells others not to help them, and when they do help, he puts them out of the church. Now in the KJV, verse 9 says, I wrote unto the church, but Diotrephes, who loveth to have the preeminence among them, receiveth us not. And when we look up this word preeminence, we get it in the Greek.
Strong's G 5383. Philaprotuo. Philaprotuo.
Right, philaprotuo, which means to aspire to preeminence, to desire to be first, aka I forget which elder brother did the video, main character syndrome. Right, main character syndrome. Dudes are walking around thinking they're the main character. All eyes on me. Why is nobody paying attention to me? This bugged out spirit of domination and wickedness. First in time or place. Chief. The chief. Principal, right? Which is first. Now this guy, Diotrephes, his name is actually interesting. It means nourished by, it says Jove here, but really Zeus. When you look it up, Zeus. Jupiter or Zeus. Right? To nourish, support. Now I went up and I looked up some commentary on him. This is from versecommentary.com. Right? It says John now transitions to the second main character of 3rd John, denouncing Diotrephes. This is the climax of 3rd John. The conflict is not between Christians and non-Christians, but between different orientations to ministry. One is interested in self-promotion, and the other is interested in advancing the cause of Yahushua. Right? Now, Diotrephes, right, I mentioned, means nourished by Zeus. Zeus is the chief god of the pantheon. Diotrephes may have had a pagan past. John, which we don't know, right? But that's plausible. John introduced Diotrephes' power lust to contrast Gaius' love for ministry and the Most High's ministers. Okay, Diotrephes was motivated by a love of preeminence in the church. The words love to have the preeminence comes from one Greek word and means loves to be first in rank or position, wish to be first, to strive to be first. Diotrephes wanted the attention of being number one in the local church, and that's very relevant to today, man. You know, you have these examples happening today. That which hath been is that which shall be. Right? There's no new thing under the sun. Okay, now let me go here as well. This is another website, BibleRef.com. Verse 9 and 10 transition from praise of Gaius and godly teachers to a condemnation of the actions of Diotrephes. According to this verse, John had written about him at least once before. However, the problem had continued. Diotrephes offers an example of an ungodly leader in two ways. First, he was prideful. He may have begun as an encouraging leader, yet let leadership go to his head. Second, Diotrephes did not acknowledge the leadership of other godly people. He got jealous pretty much. Right? It says instead of serving as one among a team of leaders, he sought to be the only leader. The main character syndrome, man. I'm the it guy. I'm him. That's a problem, man. See, these things happened back then, and they happen today too, right? It says he went so far as to speak and work against other leaders he saw as a threat to his position. And what are we doing? What is there like $1 million, bonus or something? Or am I missing something? Some guys, like, they think that rank, it's like a corporation. I'm gonna be the manager, then I'm gonna be the regional manager, then I'm gonna be a partner. Bro, these things, first of all, it's hard to hold certain ranks in camps, man. If you're the first, second, third, fourth, there's responsibility and headaches and things that you got to deal with within the camp, man. A lot of bullshit, right? People think that going up rank is this glamorous thing. You get more demons attacking you. The spiritual fight gets more dense and harder. You improve, of course, through the spirit, but things get hard, man. And like I said, bro, there's no carnal reward. And those guys, the guys that race for rank and do all this shit, they are in a carnal mindset. So it doesn't behoove me to think that they think there's some carnal reward. There's no, we're not taking tithe money and we're not kicking back and living a luxurious life, man. Maybe that's what some people think, right? But the heads of various GMS camps, those brothers, man, they got a lot of responsibility and accountability. Okay, so this is just very interesting. I looked this up, and it ties in with the whole lesson about narcissism and pretty much loving of self. And here there's another point from chat: common narcissistic tactics, gaslighting, what I was mentioning before, denying reality to make others question their memory or perception, triangulation, using a third party to manipulate, create rivalry or control, projection, accusing others of the very faults they have, love bombing, excessive flattery or attention to gain control early. These are all slithering tactics, man, snake-like tactics that these people, because they got demons on them, these demons are running them. Okay, they're running their minds, so they're trying to run game on you. But guess what? As a man of the Lord, you're gonna see these things. You're gonna see through people. Okay, just like it says in the law, blessed is, which we say the prayer, blessed are you, Yahweh, who give us the light to see. Which is Lara, I believe. Forget the word for light. But there's a prayer from the book of Deuteronomy. Barakata Yahweh, Hawa, Nathan Awar is light, I believe. Right? So you have that light, that prudence to see through people and see you can see their intentions. You can even look in their eyes That's why some people they look you in your eyes for 2 seconds and they look away. Really fast, because they know, oh, I can't even try to run any game on this guy. It says devaluation, criticism, or contempt. Once the target is secured, silent. Pretty much, yeah. That was the point. Emotional baiting, provoking strong reactions to make the target look unstable, blame shifting, all these different tactics. So anyway, I hope that was edifying. Kal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Shalom to the elect.